Welcome back to codingcat.dev, where we give you cats the freshest dose of dev snacks. Here is Alex Patterson and Brittany Postma. This episode brought to you by Storyblok. Build anything and publish everywhere. Everywhere. I don't know. Everywhere. I
Every
like that
time you
still.
do that.
I know.
It's like
I still get caught on it. It's so fun. Anyways, so we're kind of coming at you in mid-February when we are recording this, and we were just commenting on it. Just went from like 50 to like snowing again here in Michigan, which it's
and
ridiculous. This
for
weather
those
is
of you on
ridiculous.
Celsius, I think that's like about 20 to 0 or
Yeah,
-1 today Celsius. Like it's just a crazy swing, and it all melted, and then now we're back to this nasty crap.
it's no fun, but we're gonna be excited because we have Elena here, and we're gonna talk all about Holopin. Hello, Elena.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
So first of all, we need to get to know Elena before we dive into Holopin. And I know you've had kind of a fun and exciting journey as you've made your way through like the dev space. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and kind of your background?
Sure. So where do I even start? I'll start at the beginning. I hail from Lithuania. That's a country in Eastern Europe. I lived in Spain, the other countries, and studied in Edinburgh. During my time at Edinburgh, I really got into hackathons, and that's sort of my first experience with developer communities, whether that be going to events as a participant. Then I got into directing hackathons or like running meetups, and I just really enjoyed building things and getting together with other people who enjoy building things. That was kind of how I got into development more seriously, and developer community specifically. I've worked as an engineer at several companies, doing mostly things with web and APIs. And then
Any companies that we've heard of by chance?
Yes, I ended up, one of the summers I ended up joining GitHub, and ended up staying there for much longer than the summer. I used to run one of the biggest student developer tool partnerships in the world. It's called the GitHub Student Developer Pack, if you've heard of it. So basically, GitHub Education partners with a ton of different developer tool companies to enable students to access all those tools for free and build cool stuff, really, which really aligns with my own personal values. Um, and that was a lot of fun. Later on, I ended up doing developer experience and also engineering consulting, going back to API tooling companies and Kubernetes. I've kind of always worked with open source and developer tools. That's basically my background. And then Holopin happened, so I had to put that aside.
How did did you have formal training in like web development to start with, or was it? I know you have like a lot of API talk. Like, can you walk me through like what led you down the path of kind of switching a little bit? It feels like into that web experience space.
Yeah, this is. I think the first time I touched web development of any kind, I was still in school. And it was, you can modify JavaScript games so that you can get some coins or whatever, and then sometimes you can sell those coins for real money. But we don't talk about that. My degree at university was in AI, actually, which is very, very
Nice.
hot now. So
Oh,
and computer science, but really into web development. I mostly got into it through hackathons, I think,
Nice.
because naturally, when you want to build something over a weekend, whether it's prototypey or getting something out there that actually kind of works, you know, web
and
development is
and see and
better.
use it, and
Yeah.
makes sense.
So at some point in there, you're going through the hackathons and things like that, but the like GitHub piece and I'm gonna say this wrong, but is it HTT Pi? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Okay,
HTPI. Yeah, that was one of the companies I worked at.
I believe like both of those are more like partnership focused and like experience engineering focused. So was that on purpose, or it just happened to be like you're so naturally a good speaker, like you kind of fell into that?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
All the community work and the developer experience work that I ended up doing, I think it was out of passion for developer communities and sort of appreciation of the opportunities that they open for me to learn also how to build things. So in my mind, engineering and developer experience it goes closely together by definition. But yeah, I think even when I was working kind of in partnerships or doing more calls and more emails than JavaScript, uh, I've always had at least like a little side project on the side.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to,
and
right?
yeah, of course. Uh,
So
yeah.
at some point in there, like when you were figuring out the community thing and like working with developers, this Holopin idea must have like sparked at some point, or like you were staring at your laptop at the stickers and like talk me through how that process went.
It was a bit of everything.
Yeah.
You're totally right that stickers, of course, they played a part. We modeled the whole platform after stickers, really. But just to give a bit of background of what Holopin is, so it's a digital badge platform for developers, and it's a way for organizations to recognize, motivate, award developers in a really fun way, and a way that's not not cool. I'll leave it at that. Something that developers would actually be able to appreciate, and when they leave a company, they would be able to take it away with them and essentially build a portfolio of something that kind of looks like stickers because they're digital badges, but they're not NFTs and they stay with you forever. So we have a bunch of gamification features at this point. It's not just digital badges. It's also something called Holobytes. It's kind of like micro recognition points. So you can have a track record really of what you've who recognized you, who gave you that Holobyte point, and things like evolving badges, which allow you to kind of change the face of a badge as you earn more.
Let's take a quick break. We're gonna head out and thank our sponsor here. But when we come back, I want to dive in and like show the platform, and we'll dig into it a little more.
Sounds good.
Here we go.
How in the world could I forget about this?
There's no need to freak out. We have Storyblok.
Robert, you're right.
But we still need a plan.
Okay, how much time do we have left until the launch?
24 hours.
Okay, let's go.
We are ready to publish.
So let's get this baby online.
Thank you, Storyblok, for sponsoring and also for providing me with a little fun, jazzy music every time we do this podcast.
Yes, absolutely. It's always entertaining.
So Elena was starting to get into like the reason Holopin kind of was created and what it's all about. I'm going to share my profile page just to give some context of kind of what we're looking at here.
And I'm going to ask too, while you're pulling that up. So it sounds like it's very community driven, like it's a way for communities or organizations to help build up people within those communities and organizations, right?
Yeah, it's a way really to, the way I like to say it is that it's a symbiotic relationship builder almost between developer companies and the people who receive the badges. So some of our customers are open source organizations. We have a ton of integration, so you can directly, for instance, award a badge when someone makes their first pull request, or when you want to specifically call someone out for leading, a really good bug report, for instance.
We should get the Svelte community in there.
Should.
Yeah.
I think someone built like a Svelte component where you can just like embed your badge board in your Svelte app.
Cool.
Don't have a link for it, but it's there.
Yeah, you should totally like link up the Svelte community as a it doesn't have to be a nonprofit, I'll say nonprofit, but open source community, right? That'd be really cool to get like Svelte badges.
And it's open source, it's non-profit. So there's an open source collective, but they don't take money from it. They give it out to the community.
Nice. So for example, when Hacktoberfest kicked off with DigitalOcean, AppWrite kind of helped out with that. And so that was my first like big foray into understanding Holopin and how it worked. Can you talk a little bit like how that actually went down? So when Hacktoberfest was going, you had to get a certain amount of PRs and things. What did that take from a Holopin side of things? How did you know I was going to get a badge, let's say?
So we offer an API for organizations, which means that they can trigger the badge issuing, which then sends an email with a badge to the person based on whatever workflows they've got. So during Hacktoberfest, folks during the month of October could be rewarded with badges. For the DigitalOcean one, you see, for instance, is for registering for Hacktoberfest. And then the other ones that kind of look like almost like floppy disks, but I don't think they're floppy disks, so I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, the kids don't even know what those are anymore, so it's fine.
This is awesome. I went to my page and I'm like, why does my page mine was empty. My board was empty. Can you show like the all badges and how you can add them and move them around? Because it's like having a laptop or something that you can showcase your badges on and move it around.
So these are all of the badges that are available to me, which I need more. So I'll have to find out ways to get more.
I love that Docker badge. That is so cute.
The cool part though, on your board, you can put them wherever you want. So I had this like plug in because I thought it was kind of fitting there, but I can move this like over here. The great part, and Elena could probably break into this more, but like on my GitHub page now, you can embed these. So if I go to CoderCat Dev, and it opens up my board, I have all of my Holopin achievements that for some reason
it's working.
loading. I don't know why. I was gonna say it just worked the other day. That's weird. But as you can see, it's like real time or near real time. There's probably a cache or something going on where I just moved that badge. I can move it back and it'll stay updated like wherever you want because the iframes through, I believe. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. So you talked a little bit about kind of like gamification and Newsbreak. Like we were approved to become a Holopin organization on Holopin, codingcat.dev is. So we're thinking about as people like put in PRs to the repo and like either do things for the actual site or write content for the blog, we want to create different badges. What does that kind of look like from your process on the Holopin side? So are we going to like create badges and turn them over to you for approval?
So I can either share my screen or I can just briefly talk about it, whatever you prefer. We can
share your screen. More than happy to. We love our video-based members on YouTube. So
okay, let's just make sure I don't have anything strange open. I don't. That's okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and present here, right? That's how we do things.
Yep.
And share screen.
Yeah, I really got to dive into this Holobytes piece too. We'll see.
Whoop. There we go. So I guess you can see my screen, which hopefully is running fine. So as an organization, no?
Yeah, just one sec. I think we're still having wireless, or not wireless, but connectivity problem. So I just see a white screen, unfortunately.
Okay. Well,
And
I can
if
just
we can't,
talk
that's
about it
fine.
right now and see if I can figure something out later on. It could be because of my two monitors, but essentially, yes. So when you've got the Holopin organization, you upload a badge image. Normally, those are designed by the companies, by the organizations themselves. But we do have, I'm just going to drop a little hint, something to do with sticker generation coming up. Some nosy users have already found out about it, but we're officially going to be launching it probably by the end of the month, because it's there already, and I might get to put my AI degree for good use, but
Oh, nice little
we don't
hint
have
there.
yeah.
Don't worry, this podcast will come out later, so you can let all your secrets go to us.
Oh wow, okay. Well, yeah, there will be something to aid the design processes.
Awesome.
The image, when you create a badge, you also provide some metadata for it. So how do you earn this badge? You give it a name, as well as some earning criteria. And that does go to the moderation queue. We want to make sure that whatever badges are shared, they don't, contain any strange copyright issues. People are not pretending to be somewhere else, or the images are basically just appropriate. And yeah, reviewing takes less than 24 hours. We approve it, and you're welcome to use either our APIs or any of our available integrations to issue them. There's also a different type of badge, which is an evolving badge. Let me see if I can just quickly create a link for you to redeem one. I think I can actually.
Yeah. I love the
And
idea of these, by the way, because like as you grow and like that badge grows, it's amazing.
Oh, cool.
there we go. So I will just 1 second. Gonna drop that. But an evolving badge is kind of almost like a Tamagotchi-like experience. So holopin.io/holobyte/collect. Don't have a link in hand.
That's this one, folks. Do you remember these things?
Tamagotchis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like breaking one because it kept going off. And I'm like, why do you want fed or whatever? I'm like, I'm done with this. That's all I remember from that thing.
Just dropped a link in the chat so you can see how holobytes work. So it's the same exact process, except you upload more images. So you click that link.
I like it.
There's balloons everywhere.
You've earned the
More balloons, the better.
Pegasaurus egg badge. Wow. What is that? Okay.
It's a dinosaur egg.
So this unique badge ID, blah, blah,
And then
blah.
it shows like it's different stages down there in gray. So as you evolve, you kind of grow up. Oh, it's so cute.
How do you know like when the evolutions occur? Or is there something that makes them trigger?
So it depends on how many holobytes you've received, and this is set by organizations. So if you click on Holopin, the username of Holopin, just above Pegasaurus egg where it says,
Oh, thank you.
I think is that link there. Under the series tab, yes, if you go to Life Pegasaurus, you can see how many holobytes in total you need to collect. And so as an organization, you can upload, I believe we allow up to 9 images now, and then the holobytes you can specify yourself and basically design those flows however you like. I'm very excited about a Slack integration that we're building, because what that means is you're going to be very easily able to just say thank you with holobytes. and that then generates a link which only that person can claim. And so you can really, have something that you can keep and make
That's a
work a bit more
really
fun.
cool thing for organizations. Like we do a kudos thing and like they say it in the all hands meeting, but it's really like a way to hang on to that like longer.
I love the evolving status. That's funny. So let's break down holobytes just a little bit further. So when we talk about earning something, like it says here, CoderCat earned a holobyte from Holopin. Those holobytes are per organization, correct?
So holobytes are issued by organizations, at least at this point in time.
Okay.
They can either be standalone or they can be issued as part of an evolving badge. So we always think that it's a lot more fun if they're if they actually lead to something, and it's also a credential really, so you can share it on your Twitter, on LinkedIn, embedded in websites. We provide an API for that as well. There's a permanent record. They're quite customizable, so you can, for instance, add where the holobyte was earned, so specify a custom URL, as well as give it a description. So I think for Alex here, it said for learning about the platform, but that's something that you can input.
And so just for my own knowledge, so I now see the evolving Pegasaurus egg. If I go to my normal board, will that show up yet if I try to add it?
There's an open pull request with that changed. So by the end of this week, you will be able to. But yes,
gotcha. Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. Very cool. That'll be exciting. So just for folks to see kind of how this works, this is how you, if I were to remove this one, I can then click add and it'll drop in, and that's how you move it around. So this has your full inventory, which is shown here. So that'll be cool once it finishes evolving. Yeah, so the cool parts for me, at least, I kind of want to know or understand some of the nuts and bolts. Like we're talking a lot about APIs and things like that. I believe during the Digital Ocean event that we had during Hacktoberfest, once my PRs were accepted, I think they triggered a GitHub action that ultimately assigned these badges out, I believe. Is that kind of the typical way, or do you see people I see a Discord integration and everything else in here? Are there other ways that people will give you these badges, or is it always a link? How do you see that working usually?
Yeah, so for Hacktoberfest and how folks normally use it, the top integration is probably GitHub, but the other one is just our API. So I don't think the docs are linked, but if you, docs.holopin.io contains what we've currently got. So it tells you how you can issue badges and evolving badges and holobytes. So you can see the types of parameters it takes in. Really, you can do it really from your internal application. So for instance, when someone completes a registration flow, perhaps you have a trigger somewhere in your app that generates a unique claim URL. You can also optionally send an email from the Holopin side, so then folks also immediately receive that. You can also, from the UI, generate a non-unique claim URL. So if you're doing something like an event and you want to maybe share a badge as a QR code for folks to redeem, then that's also an option. So you don't have to specifically, generate an X amount of claim URLs or, have specific users. So our API provides really full flexibility. And then we also have those sort of in-house integrations that we build and maintain just to make things a little bit easier. So for instance, the Slack one, we are building it ourselves, but it is totally possible to do it entirely just using our API.
That makes sense. You gave me an idea. I might have to do a Firebase extension for Holopin. That'll be really exciting. I'm kind of curious as well. Like once we start going down this path of creating these, is it? How do I ask this correctly? Is there a way to overwhelm your system? Is there a maximum amount of like badges we can give? Because I'm the type of person that if you're contributing to like open source and like our knowledge base, like I want to give you something every time. Like, what does that typically look like for you?
There is not a way, well, as we say, to overwhelm our system per se, but I would say, we have enough inflation in this world, so it's best not to award too many whole badges. It's kind of why we introduced holobytes,
Sure.
that they're smaller, and then the images, really the stickers, don't lose much value. So I think in your case, if you want to award holobytes for literally everything, that's how we do it kind of internally as well. Like, someone made a good suggestion in our stand-up, or someone had a really good idea, then you can create a badge.
Is there any point where like you're giving all of those like bytes and pieces and your board becomes like too overwhelmed? Is there like a limit to how many badges can end up on your board?
Nope. Just like there's no limit for badges or for stickers on a laptop.
Nice. So if I have like 10,000, maybe it takes a second longer to load, or no?
Well, okay, 10,000. Yeah, that's a great question, because those images, they're not iframes. They are generated server side. So that's why you've got a link, which is just holopin.me/your-username, and there's always an image. Yeah, I mean that would probably be a bit of a challenge, but 10,000. I mean, yeah, we'll just add more boards.
That sounds sweet. So if you don't mind, can we talk about the tech side of that? That was pretty cool.
Oh, I have an idea, a panable board. So like it could increase in size and you could pan around on it and see the different,
It needs to be like a Figma. You just
like
go
Figma. I was looking like Figma so you could pan around.
So
that was literally the initial one. Yeah.
From the backend side of things, it sounds like if you're generating those server side, do you mind talking about like some of the technology you're using to do that? Or is that giving away too much?
No, I can definitely give you an overview. We mostly use TypeScript. The API that we provide is also mostly run on Next.js. We use Vercel for deploying most of our infrastructure, but of course we use other microservices. So for images, it's a combination of CDN offered by Vercel, but also S3 and Translate it, who are helping us. Well, whom we use for content moderation.
Nice. And so
yeah,
like that link that I would get for my board, are your server side generating that on the fly?
Yes.
Or there's a cache out to a CDN? Okay.
There's a tiny, I think, a little bit of a cache, but it's almost instant. So yeah, there are a lot of hits to our API because, well, every time that is displayed on someone's website, that's the hit to our infrastructure. But yeah, we think it's a big win for serverless.
Is there a way that you're planning to make profit? I mean, as a company, like how are you going to make money?
Oh, we sell it. So normally companies, public pricing plans, by the way, will be coming out also super shortly.
Okay, cool.
So organizations typically purchase a certain number of badges they can issue. We don't always limit the recipients. We want as many people in the world, being able to get badges. It's a lot of fun. And then also for organizations who want to use it internally. So really those large enterprises who require additional support plans, SSO, teams within organizations. We have a separate offering there as well. So
I got it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. I was like, we're like talking open source and like all these organizations that are getting like maybe for free. And then I'm like, oh, but how are you going to make money?
I don't know how much I can say, but AppWorth is tight with Holopin, so we are not using it in the open source context.
We have an open source and nonprofit program, so we definitely want to, make Holopin accessible to as many folks as we can, while also maintaining a sustainable, profitable business model, so that we can continue growing it and yeah, take it to other levels.
I love that you were able to like use the kind of the Next.js platform and Vercel to be able to do so much with it. Honestly, like being able to create these badges and like move them around and ship an API and everything, it just goes to show, like as you said, microservices these days, they're just so powerful. It's amazing. Are you doing Holopin full time now?
Yeah. It happened since July. So nice. The company officially, today is the 15th of February, the company officially turned 1 yesterday. So on the 14th, that's when, the idea sort of started and the company was incorporated. But yeah, since July, I have been, dropped everything else, been working on this full time. There's 5 of us on the team, so we're constantly shipping new things. And our big launch was around Oktoberfest. So
that's a small team to be developing these features that fast. That's awesome.
We have like 20x engineers, 100x engineers.
I was just explaining 10x to my wife the other day. She's like, "This is an engineering thing. This is totally weird to me." I'm like, "Okay." That's exciting. So yeah, I'm super excited and I can't wait to like have you back on once Coding Cat's fully up and going, because I think I've got ideas for some pretty cool integrations for stuff that we're going to be doing. So I think that'll be sweet.
Yeah.
Anything I'm missing, Elena? I feel like I always miss stuff when we're talking to people.
I think.
We didn't talk about open badges. The open badges standard.
Yes.
We have to talk
open
about
badges. Yeah, I can nerd out about this for ages. What it is. So badges have a bit of a history. So open badges is a standard that was originally created by Mozilla, actually, about 10 years ago, through something called, I think it was called Mozilla Backpack. And so they also had the idea, really, of creating a badge that can be a universal standard that organizations can issue, that can be embedded within websites, etc., etc. An NFT without an NFT. Yeah. And so it has a specific format that it follows with what criteria it has, etc., etc. And since then, it's mostly been adopted by various educational institutions and kind of used as like a very, like a credentialing standard. We plan to support that in Q2. So we already joined the organization who verifies these integrations and verifies that your badges are following this particular standard. And I'm very excited about this because that means that folks will be able to import the badges that they earn elsewhere onto Holopin and just have everything in one place once and for all. All their achievements, all their stickers, all their badges.
And so, like you said, with the whole NFT piece, once you get one of those, like no one else can use it. That's a single badge linked somehow with the mysteries of the web. So you'll have that unique ID forever, right? Will you be using that standards protocol at some point, or is this something that like you guys had to fork, or what's that look like for Holopin?
Yeah, so our badges, they're currently very similar in implementation to the open badges. So we will get our standard basically reviewed and verified, and
Gotcha.
that turns us into an issuer and a host. And we joined as a contributed organization
Cool.
in One EdTech. So we also want to contribute to making the standard more interoperable.
Yeah.
It does, though. Yeah, there are some nuances with things like, well, evolving badges or holobytes. It's what the standard lacks. And it's also, if you just wanted to use it, for instance, as an organization and create your own, it's a fair amount of work. Whereas with us, it's an API call. So, yeah, so that's the problem that we're solving.
Okay, so open badges could probably be compared to something like W3AC, or the CSS working group. What's that?
We'll just call it that.
For standards, CSS working group. Yes, I don't remember, but so they're making standards for a thing that's on the web. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So with that, the digital credential DCG, I think we just also joined W3C, but we're just kind of feeling it around before we join all those groups. But they do work quite closely to create those web standards. So I mean, we see Holopin sort of fitting in within that as well.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. Well, I think we've grilled you enough. We have to move to the fun part that we call perfect picks next. I'm going to let Brittany go first, if that's okay, Britt.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to preface this with I do not agree with any of J.K. Rowling's statements. I am sorry that happened, and I suggest you donate to trans rights. I have a 10-year-old daughter obsessed with Harry Potter and like the whole world, and I have also read the books in the past and really enjoy the series. So I don't agree with any of her comments, but Hogwarts Legacy is a game that just came out, and there's a lot of controversy around it. So I thought about even doing this, but it is an amazing game. It is like the gameplay is like you're actually casting magic. Like it feels like you're living in that world, and it's just kind of surreal how it can like take you and put you basically into kind of the books. Although it does take place about 100 years before the books.
Oh. So there's no Harry Potter in this.
There is no Harry Potter in this, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there is a Weasley character.
Okay.
But
yeah, there's
that
always
was in the trailer. It's in the trailer, so like, but it would be their ancestors. So whoever you see in there would be their ancestors.
There's like 1 million of those redheads, right?
And I don't even think the character is redheaded, which is interesting.
Never mind then.
Oh, yeah, but it's been a really fun game, and we've been taking turns with the kids to play it, and it really immerses you into that world, which is kind of cool.
I've been looking forward to it. I can't wait to pick it up. I didn't realize it was out yet, so my son was not yelling but pushing me towards it. I'm like, that's expensive. We'll talk. My pick is GitHub Classrooms. So I don't know how long these have been out, but I'm somewhat newly discovering them. I was thinking that we could release, and I think, Elena, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys sent me a classroom to do the OSS approval or the organization approval?
Yeah, so that's we use it for managing partnerships programs, because that's what we used for. It's a similar workflow that I had at GitHub for managing partnerships. So it's
cool. So it's been around for a while then.
Yeah, probably 5 years, something.
Yeah,
6 maybe.
I think
I had never heard of it either.
It's tricky, and that's the part that I'm like, I don't know for beginners if they're gonna be able to do it exactly the way I want them to. So I've kind of been playing around, as you can see. I created a couple different classrooms, which was the first an understanding in its own. Each classroom can then have assignments in it.
Oh,
So each one of our courses theoretically could have an assignment. And what happens when you like click on this? I don't know if it'll do it again, but if
you
I
wouldn't do
were
it on the lesson level? The lessons wouldn't be assignments?
So I think, yeah, I think the lesson could be an assignment, but the interesting part when you actually go out here and do this, see, I really hate this part, by the way. Like you have to link an associated like email, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't like that at all. So there's some weird things I'm still trying to figure out. I'm just gonna skip it for now. I believe, yeah, I've already created a repo. So normally it would sit here and go, we're creating a repo. Just hang on a second. And so then it takes you to this, and you can open this directly in VS Code too. But this then is your kind of readme about like what you're going to do, the PR that you're going to create. And in my mind, and this is my still figuring things out here, it'd be cool if in the classroom the test said you passed that assignment. Now the workflow kicks off and says, here's a Holopin, right? That's where my like head's going towards.
yeah.
So if we don't use classrooms, because I really think like all it is doing like it's a template essentially that gets copied to a repo. So that part's kind of cool. But again, it seems kind of
It's just kind of
complicated for
cloning the
someone.
repo under the
Yeah.
hood.
So it just takes a template and makes that template in your repo
So
or
forks
in your, what's the
yeah,
word I'm looking for? Organization, repo, whatever.
in your GitHub, like in
Your
your
GitHub. Yeah. For lack of a better word.
under your
So like our template is named this and it's sitting under coding cat dev. Now this is a terrible example. I thought it was in my coder cat dev one, but anyways,
under the organization. Yeah.
that's kind of where my head's at, because then you can actually come in here and you'll say, okay, well, what students have taken this? And it'll show the different students here. And it'll also have like for this assignment, who passed, who failed, all kinds of fun stuff in here. So
Interesting.
still playing around with it, but really cool idea. I think, especially for open source, like we're really trying to push towards to have a lot of like lessons for JavaScript and things like that out there.
I like that it puts it into GitHub so it like almost forces them to learn how to make PRs and like learn the
Yeah,
repo setup.
that's actually the first lesson that they have provided for an example is the GitHub fundamentals. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's
Interesting.
definitely interesting. I'm gonna have to play with it some more to see if it's too complicated for someone just getting started or not. Okay, I left this for last because I have a feeling you guys are going to talk about for like an hour. This
You
is news to
might.
me.
Oh, I was just gonna say with GitHub Classroom, you can totally do it with a GitHub bot because you can automate it with labels. So yeah, that's if you wanted to issue holobytes or holobins.
Ooh, yeah,
I was wondering if the GitHub API would expose some of the things that it does too that you could just do in your site.
I think you could also have like a webhook, like a listener,
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, currently we actually use the webhook, at least in V2 of CodingCat, to grab anytime there's a new PR. We actually take and cache that out to Firestore to write the site with. So it would be interesting. Anytime there's like a PR that goes through, boom, Holopin. I don't know. We'll see.
Firebase function, I think
Yep.
that work.
All right, tell me about GeoGuessr. And for
Oh
those
yes.
listening on audio, it's GeoGuessr.
Okay. So if you're already on like Instagram Reels or whatever, or TikTok, I don't use TikTok, but I'm sure it's just like TikTok. Anyway, there's some very popular memes about this. But this is a game where you basically get dropped into anywhere in Google Maps on Street View, and then you need to guess where you are. So
This is crazy.
you can do this solo. You can pick between different regions or different capitals or whatnot, so different categories, or you can also have duels and tournaments. And yes, sometimes it's time-based. A lot of the times, I mean, the faster you get it. I mean, this is pretty...
Oh, where are you?
pretty...
That's pretty obvious.
I don't get it. Like, do you have to zoom in to? I see.
It depends, yeah. So if it's like within a city, or if you're like, you know, very competitive and pro, yeah, then basically every yard, foot, meter matters.
Ah, I see. Okay.
But sometimes it's just like, you know, which country are you in? So if you get dropped into something like this, that's great. But
That's
if you're in the
pretty-
woods somewhere,
That's
or
probably
like
the easiest
on a
one I've
road.
ever seen, honestly.
How do you like find out, like, does it always provide kind of where you are, like this? No.
It normally gives you just the full world map.
Full map. Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
So
It's
Good luck
pretty
with-
cool. I like it.
you develop like a bunch of
Oh,
techniques, I think, to spot things. So if you notice any, because you can also walk, maybe not in this particular map, but you can, if you're in a road or whatever, you can also move like you would on street view.
I think you are in some kind of tutorial mode.
It is, yeah. It's a
This is
tutorial.
too easy. This is-
I can't find Staten Island. What the heck? It's in here somewhere.
It's got to be on there somewhere.
Whatever. I'll just click. Sounds good. Oh, I was way
Oh.
off. That's why.
That's why you couldn't find it.
Oh, I thought this tip was this tip.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense. That's super fun, and I think I'd lose my entire day trying to guess places.
Yeah.
Good pick.
It's a lot of fun.
And then
It's a
once
lot.
you complete it, you get a Holopin, right?
That's a great idea. That's a great
think
idea. They have a lot of gamification features, which I really like. So it's very also like Duolingo style. You know, advance in your levels and
Yeah.
stuff.
So what happens? I don't know how else to ask this, but like, what happens if an asteroid hits near you and you're gone? What happens if you win $1 billion and you're gone? That's how you're supposed to ask it. And all of our badges are kind of out there doing their thing. Does it just run itself, or like, is there any fear that my badges might go away one day?
I think the answer is in our business model and in our infrastructure and in how we really run this whole thing. We don't want, you know, Holopin is not it in a way, because it's so interoperable. It belongs to everyone, kind of, in a way, without the blockchain. We might have a blockchain underneath it at some point, but it's just the user experience is too clunky. Plus also open badges, so you should be able to export them and embed them wherever you.
So that's the part I was kind of curious about. It sounds like you can export and then keep forever. So that's really cool. Nice.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, this has been awesome. I can't wait to dive further into Holopin. By the time this comes out, there's a super new AppWrite pin that you should be able to see coming out for our Heroes program. So definitely check that out. It's going to be pretty sweet. So we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, Elena. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Later.
Great to meet you guys.